Okay guys, we're going to build a Soltera today. This is Nick, fly on the wall bike builds. Let's see what we got. I'm going to unbox this, just cut these straps here. And just pull these white plugs out of the bottom. So 2 on each side. Now you can just pull the box right off the top, easy breezy. Don't even have to lift the bike up. Okay, grab your parts box out, set it aside. And just use your box as a giant trash can. I can tell you from experience, try to keep the floor clean so you don't trip on all this junk. It's a lot of packing on a bike, a lot of packing. Okay. First thing you want to look for, if you have a bike stand, is the seat. And we'll just clamp it down inside there. So make sure your seat clamp is tight. If you don't have a bike stand, it's going to make your job a lot tougher. That's all I can say. It's worth the money you spend at the bike shop to get them to professionally build the bike. And I'll show you how we tune it up later after the build. Straighten the bars up. Make sure your brakes are working good. And make sure you're shifting well. Make sure everything's straight and that the bike is safe. Very important. Right now, people are buying gifts for Christmas, so we've been pretty busy here building bikes. Build a couple a day, probably. Today, our build list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on there so far today. Could get a few more by the end of the day, depending on what they sell upstairs. We were even selling bikes in the snow, so it doesn't always depend on the weather, although the weather definitely helps. Okay, so I use these cutters and I just cut all these zip ties off. And I usually just drop them right down below. If your seat clamp is not tight, the bike could drop on you. That's never fun. It's a little harder to rip everything by hand, but I try not to use a tool to rip the paper or cut the tape. It's too easy to scratch the frame up, you know? All right, that's all the packing, guys. That's a lot of packing. A lot of packing. Okay, let me get my tool belt on. Okay, so they usually twist the stem backwards on that, so that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen this up a little. All right, twist that around. Okay, just make sure your brake is in the back and tighten down the center bolt, okay? We'll come back and straighten the bars up later and all that stuff. All right, let's install the handlebars real quick. Get them out of our way. Okay, you want to make sure that your lines aren't crossed here and everything is right when you put your handlebar up in there. Go up in there. Just tilt it back a little bit. Okay. Here I can see better without my sunglasses on. Okay. You just want all 4 bolts started, none of them tight. Okay. I'm going to guesstimate where I want it. There's some lines on these handlebars, and I usually roll it as far forward as I can. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We'll leave it like that for now. See if we can get this headlight bolt out. Okay, you got a parts box, have all your pedals, your manual, your charger, sometimes a multi-tool. Just go in there, just grab what you need. Right now, just grab the headlight real quick. Since we're already working on the handlebars, we're going to go ahead and try to finish up this area until we do final adjustment, you know? You want your headlight really tight, but just loose enough where you can make a little bit of adjustment, okay? You don't want it out in front of you. You probably want it to shine out about, 5 or 10 feet in front of you, depending on how fast you're riding, how bright your headlight is. I also recommend getting a couple extra headlights from Amazon to clip to your handlebars. It's nice to have one you can put on flash. It's nice to have one on bright. And say you have an issue out on the trail, now you got 2 flashlights you can take off there. Okay, I usually pull this plastic clip off that keeps your brake pad separated in the caliper. And I stick a small screwdriver in there and spread it out just a little bit more. Now I snug these and then I take it all the way down to the ground when I tighten it up. That's the position your brakes are adjusted to. That's the way I adjust them. And so it gives you a good reference point. That way the wheel is always in the same position. Okay? And then I just use 2 15 millimeters. Tight, a little bit past, tight, really snug. Okay. I'll push the display back a little bit. And get that set up for the next rider. Let's see here. It's looking pretty good. And in my opinion, it doesn't need to be as tight as it could be. It's good to be able to move it a little bit. Okay, you can adjust it, at least till you get it where you want it. Everybody's a little bit different. And if you have it aimed up at the sky, the sun will drown out your display anyway. So you're going to have it kind of lean back towards you. And at night, it's blinding. So when you ride at night, sometimes you tilt it forward because that light in your eyes, it's hard to see after a while. Okay. I'm going to check my handlebars here. I think they're leaned a little bit too far forward. I'm going to lean them back a hair. The motocross rider in me has the handlebars always adjusted too far forward, for everyone else. That's the way I like them. Okay, just to back a little bit. Okay. Okay. Yes, it's looking pretty good. Not bad, not bad. All right, we're going to plug in some wires. They don't really tell you where they go. You kind of just got to match them up best you can. Okay. And try to be neat about it. So you got to line up these lines and make sure they're pushed really tight together. Okay. We'll hear them snap. Okay. All right. Now, if these cables are too long or too short, you can push them down inside this headset. Okay. I usually do that with a lot of scrap wire, just to kind of make it look neater. And better install, you know, better build. Always looking for that better build. Okay, not bad. Okay. Make sure the brakes are in adjustment. They're sounding good. And I just held this up with my hand and tightened it here and here with one wrench. Chances are I would have to readjust the brake. But since I put it down on the ground and tightened them both at the same time with two different wrenches while pushing down on the bike, it seems to be lined up perfect. That's not always the case. Sometimes the brake is not lined up. Same with shifting. Sometimes the shifting is perfect. Sometimes on the cable adjust in the back, I turn it maybe a quarter to a half a turn counterclockwise. Almost on every bike I do, bringing it just a little bit of tension on that cable. Okay, your pedals are marked with L and R. Okay, I want you to put the L on, and I want you to pedal it backwards. Okay, if you pedal it backwards and it goes in, you got the right pedal on the right side. Okay. Always pedaling backwards to put the pedal on. Okay. Once you get it started, just put a pedal wrench on it. A lot of these bikes come with a pedal wrench too. It's a little rubber boot that goes on the axle and it covers up your wire connectors. It doesn't always go on all the way. That's okay. Just put it on about 3/4 of the way and that lines up with your wire and protects it. That's going to be good enough. I think pushing it on all the way puts too much tension on that motor wire. The motor wire is everything. If that doesn't work, the whole bike is done. Make sure you don't damage this wire either, guys. If you drop the bike on that wire, that's something to think about. Okay, your gear shifting is not so good. Like I said, I'm going to come here and turn this barrel at a quarter to a half a turn, counterclockwise. Watch the difference it makes. Okay. Okay. Give it another half turn. And go all the way down. Let's climb up again. Okay. So you hear that making noise? We're going to keep it on that gear, and we're going to turn this barrel connector while it's doing that. Okay. I'll have to turn it quite a bit to get rid of that noise. Okay. Now I have to hope it shifts right. It's not bad. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, let's put some air in these tires. Okay, lock down your valve stem and then open up the top. Same here. Remove the cap. It's a pressure valve, so you got to open the top so it accepts air. And then screw this valve stem down around the edge here. Okay. Let's get a little air in her. See what we get. Okay. Fill it up to the proper tire pressure. Squeeze that shut really tight. Put the cap back on. And screw the fastener around the valve stem again. Once it's filled with air, it'll be a little looser. Okay. Alright, let's do the front. As a general rule, I put a little bit less air in the front. It's carrying less weight. And if you put too much air in the front tire, it's going to be bouncing like a basketball. It's going to be a really uncomfortable ride. Okay, this is the step over, Aventon Pace. I believe the color is Midnight. It's not a bad bike. Alright, when we set it down, I want to make sure my handlebars are straight. And everything's adjusted right. I like the handlebars down a little bit. I think that they're up a little high. I think if they're down, it makes it easier for your hand to grab them. They don't have to come all the way up. You know? You're grabbing for your brake, you're grabbing fast. It's never usually a slow thing. Usually grabbing them for good reason, you know? When I'm riding on the trail and I'm around a bunch of people, or if I'm mountain biking, I'll ride and I usually have one finger, usually my index or the middle finger, on my brake lever. That way I can just apply the brake without taking my hands and moving them. They're already in position. You do that mountain biking on the trail when there's a lot of people. Look out for people walking dogs, especially the retractable leashes. They have no control over their animal when they have a retractable leash. And they'll go maybe 10 or 15 feet in either direction. This is really bad for you. Just keep aware of that. It's not the dog's fault. It's usually bad owners, you know. I also move over when I see electric motorcycles coming down the trail. I just let them go, you know. I don't want them to hit me. Usually young kids riding them. Luckily, some of the kids here are respectful. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Then we have adults that think they're kids, and, well, there's no help for some of these guys. They're still children. Luckily, right out front, we have the Mount Vernon Trail that runs along the Potomac River into Washington, D.C. This is a really, really nice trail. If you guys live in the Northern Virginia area, Maryland, D.C., I'm sure you've been on that trail. If you're out of the area, it's worth driving to. This is a nice vacation spot in the spring for cherry blossoms in D.C. There's a lot to see here. It's a great place to ride a bike. We're getting more and more bike infrastructure all the time. Then you can ride from Georgetown up the C&O Canal to Great Falls, and that's a very nice ride. Okay, guys, Soltera's done. What do you think?